When you encounter a crisis at work or a conflict in a relationship, you likely treat it as a logistical hurdle that requires an external solution. External situations act as triggers. The paralysis you feel comes from the resulting internal response, the immediate spikes of fear or anger that override your logic before you can intervene. Without a way to manage this dynamic, you react on pure autopilot, living at the mercy of your own neurochemistry. We can intercept those reactions. By utilizing 3 specific psychological frameworks, we can halt these automated responses and physically change how the brain processes reality. The first framework is cognitive restructuring. It is designed to intercept internal anxieties, like the dread that builds before a major presentation. This timeline shows how the brain's catastrophe bias operates. You might have 8 successful presentations in your history, but your mind obsessively highlights the 2 times you struggled, giving them disproportionate weight. To counter this, you must catch the negative thought and subject it to a fact check. You ask, is the belief that I have an assumption? Once you identify the assumption, you reframe it. A potential mistake is categorized as a learning opportunity rather than a disaster. Repeating this logic disrupts the default thought loop. This is a mechanical disruption of a flawed data cycle. You are replacing an automated fear with verified information. Beyond internal anxiety, we face sudden external triggers, like unprovoked hostility from a boss or the sharp envy that comes from scrolling through social media. In these moments, the amygdala, the brain's emotional center, hijacks control and suppresses rational thought. Internalizing the emotion's name forces the brain to activate the prefrontal cortex, which immediately diminishes the amygdala's response. With the rational center online, you can validate the emotion as natural and reflect on its root cause. Finally, you convert the processed emotion into a constructive response. Instead of reacting defensively to a buzz, you can ask for specific, actionable feedback. Labeling an emotional spike buys you the critical physiological seconds needed to choose a logical path over a blind reaction. For ingrained behavioral fears, like phobias of heights or public speaking, we use exposure therapy. First, you isolate the fear and build a hierarchy, ranking triggers from the lowest anxiety-inducing scenario at the base up to your primary fear at the apex. Through gradual exposure, stepping into that lowest tier tests your brain's catastrophic predictions against actual results. The key is to remain in the uncomfortable situation until the anxiety naturally subsides. You must wait for the fear to pass to prove to your brain that the environment is safe. This process uses empirical evidence to recalibrate the brain's threat detection system, systematically reducing the intensity of irrational fears. Emotional intelligence does not require the suppression of feelings. It relies on observation, fact-checking, and intentional action. Consistently practicing these 3 psychological frameworks actively carves new neural pathways, making your brain significantly more resilient to any future stress. While you cannot stop external chaos or stressful situations from occurring, you can control exactly how those events are processed internally. Applying these frameworks changes the internal dynamic. That replaces automated reaction with a state where you decide exactly how to engage with the world around you.